Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the JSUN sports team on JacksonSun.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Chalk Talk here at JacksonSun.com. My name is Craig Thomas alongside the high school sports columnist and the guy in charge of our high school football beat, that's Brandon Shields. Going into the second week of the TSSAA playoffs, if you haven't checked out the midweek crunch video, you'll definitely want to do that. We run in-depth through every game involving teams in the Jackson Suns coverage area. So a handful of games you'll definitely want to.
That's pretty much every game in West Tennessee except for like maybe in 5A or 6A.
Yeah, absolutely. So, pretty much 1A through 4A and then D2 as well. We will start with that D2A game as we kind of focus in this video on some of the Jackson teams that are in the playoffs. And that means the USJ Bruins, who are coming off a big win. Just like you talked about, that was going to be the biggest win of the year if they got it. They obviously did over Knoxville Webb. What's next for USJ as they go in to take on this very tough Franklin Road Academy team?
Well, if they are able to win this game, this will be their biggest win.
Yeah, I bet they will. I bet it will.
No, I mean, something that just kind of dawned on me that earlier this week when we were filming the midweek crunch, this is actually the state quarterfinals for USJ. So, a lot on the line, obviously, in this game. FRA, though, is coming in with an undefeated record, 11-0. They've beaten some good teams, including one that beat USJ this year, Battleground Academy, and beat some other good teams over in the Nashville area. USJ has to go there this week, and I will say, I was at their game Friday night in which they beat Knoxville Webb. I was very impressed with their defense. I was very impressed with their special teams, particularly Will Smith and his punting. Charles Campbell, I did a story on kickers last week, and Charles Campbell, the two times he kicked kickoffs, they both were not even close to not being a touchback. So if he can keep doing that up in FRA, that would be a big help. But they're going to need all hands on deck for this one. FRA is undefeated for a reason, as far as defense and special teams, they're going to have the kind of game that they had last week again. And then the offense is going to have to do. They did a good job of moving the ball. They just didn't move it consistently enough to keep getting down the field and getting in scoring range or whatever. They're going to need to do that a little more this week because FRA's USJ's defense may be good enough to stop FRA more than what they've been stopped, but it's going to take a good effort for them to keep their scoring total low. All
right, in Class 2A, a couple of city teams still alive. They'll be taking on teams on the road that we're familiar with, you're familiar with, they're very familiar with for sure. We'll start with Trinity Christian Academy, Class 2A, going down to Adamsville. Big game there for sure.
Not only is this a rematch, had a story earlier in the week just about kind of how this has been one of the premier just matchups over the course of the last few years just because of how good both of these teams have been. They played for district championships. One year they met in the state semifinals. So definitely two proud programs, two of the better programs around here the last few years, and they meet one more time. These senior groups do, and a lot of people tend to think that Adamsville has the upper hand in this one. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I also don't just necessarily shut TCA out of this. Andrew Goldsmith has not been stopped by anybody, no matter if TCA has won or lost. Even when they played Adamsville earlier in the season, and Adamsville won 33-13. He's still got, I think, 150 yards on the ground or something like that. That was before he was a quarterback. Now he's getting the ball every snap, and he's probably he's running it more times than he's not. But we found out last week Scott Still did a good job of keeping him from running the ball. Well, we found out he's got receivers to catch the ball if he needs to throw it. I think he had 4 touchdown passes last week, maybe 5. So that gives Adamsville something else to think about. And Adamsville fans, I wouldn't necessarily book your reservations for a trip to the quarterfinals just yet.
Yeah, interesting coaching matchup too. I mean, when you have all those adjustments, it's kind of you kind of need to see what coaches can come up with to sort of get their own guys some more opportunities and what they can do to stop them. Similar situation in McKenzie as the Rebels look to avenge an early season loss to Jackson Christian, a game that really helped the Eagles get into the playoffs in the first place. McKenzie coming in with 7 wins, Jackson Christian with 4. Jackson Christian did get that win early in the year. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, it's going to be tough for me to see McKenzie not winning this game because, I don't know, just kind of looking at them on paper, like, I was just totally shocked when I saw not only did Jackson Christian win, but they won by 17 points last time they played. As far as personnel and perceived abilities, at least, you got to give that ability back to McKenzie, plus the fact that Jackson Christian is going to be taken out of their routine of not playing at home, which they were at home the last time. And there was a little bit of talk last week or last night on the radio about the first time they played. That was like McKenzie's fall break. I think it was also Jackson Christian's fall break that week too. So, okay. So as far as this game goes, I think Jackson Christian wants to prove that win wasn't a fluke. And obviously both coaches, Todd Rowland and Wade Comer, they're both really good coaches, and a lot of people are really impressed with what Rowland has done at Jackson Christian within 2 years already. Getting them to the second round of the playoffs is pretty phenomenal in itself, and I think it's going to be a good chance to see kind of how Rowland stacks up as far as coaching wise with one of the best ones, one of the more revered coaches around here, Wade Comer.
Ready to go to 3A?
Sure.
All right, 3A, we've got a team that honestly, I think a lot of people in West Tennessee certainly, but even people outside West Tennessee have kind of taken notice of this Liberty team at 11-0, really starting to see them as a potential state championship contender. If that happens, if that's going to be true, that is they need a better showing than they got in the first half last week against Raleigh Egypt. What are you looking for out of Liberty when they host Melrose this week?
I'm not necessarily worried about them as much this week as maybe a lot of people are after that first half that wasn't that good for them. I mean, they can't have that first half again this week. I mean, Melrose is in the second round for a reason. But they beat Westview last week 28-21, a Westview team that Liberty kind of had problems with for the first 3 quarters, and then they just kind of took over in the fourth quarter and pulled away. I know people that were at the game that said that Westview outplayed them, and they're not Westview fans. They're people that know football and said Westview outplayed them. Just they couldn't pull away, and Melrose scored there late. So if Liberty continues to do what it's done and kind of keeps focused on the task at hand, not worry about who they could play in the quarterfinals or who they could play in the semifinals or even who they could potentially play in the championship, and just worry about this one game, they should be okay.
All right, so if you want to see an undefeated Jackson team playing at home this weekend, Liberty's the place to be. If you want to see a game here in Jackson that involves 2 of the area's teams, go to Northside, where the Indians at 9-2 try to avenge an early loss to Lexington, which is also 9-2. Another really interesting matchup we've talked a lot about already, but what are some big points that you want to bring up for this game?
Well, there's going to be a lot of talk going into this one on radio and social media or whatever about kind of what happened 8 weeks ago when they first played. There was a 32-7 win for Lexington over Northside, and that was at Northside as well when Lexington pulled away there late to make that win look a whole lot more dominant than maybe what it was. Don't worry about that first game. I know coaches like to say the last time we played them, whether it's last year or earlier in the year or whatever, doesn't matter anymore. And to an extent, it's all true. But that's more true for this game than any others because Lexington has improved a lot since week 4. Northside has improved a lot since week 4. I don't know if I would call them 2 totally different teams, but they're very different looking teams.
Much better teams, probably.
Yeah, definitely better teams. And this one's going to be the one where, what was said when I was watching the Alabama LSU game the other night.
If it was Vern, that's dangerous. I don't know if we want to go there.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go there. But the biggest games are usually won by the team that does the little things the best. I think Danielson said that, and that actually was not a dumb thing to say, which is weird for C. Anyways, so yeah, it's going to come down to just who executes their game plan better between that Northside and Lexington game.
All right, those are the games involving teams in the city of Jackson, but a handful of games throughout the area involving teams in Jackson's coverage area. What are the highlights in your opinion?
Well, we got 3 games in 1A that we need to worry about. Huntington's going to Trousdale County. I like their chances in that game after they did what they did against. They're going to Nashville Christian.
Yes, they beat Trousdale. Yeah.
Sorry, I like what they did last week against Trousdale County in that 39-0 win. That was with their 3rd-string quarterback. Now they're going to Nashville Christian. It's going to be tougher, which it should be, because they're playing a region champion. But it's still going to be a good game, and I like Huntington's chances. Peabody's going to Union City. I was at the game when they played in week 3 in a very good game. Peabody pushed them to the limit, had a tie game in with 6 events to go, and then Union City kind of took over there at the end. It wouldn't shock me to see, it wouldn't be the biggest shock ever if Peabody ended that win streak for Union City this week. I'm not necessarily picking them to win, I'm just saying it wouldn't be a shock to see that. And then Dresden's going down to Memphis to play Carver in probably what will be the highest scoring game in the entire state of Tennessee. They combined last week in their wins to score 134 points, I think. So
Goodness gracious.
If Carver scored 70.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, that would be 134 points. So then in 3A, we got 2 more games that we didn't talk about. Milan's going to Covington. That's going to be a good game. A couple of old rivals from the old, well, I say old, from the old 13 AA district during the Z plan. They're matching up again with a chance to go to the quarterfinals and meet the Liberty Melrose winner. Milan's defense is playing good right now. So Covington will definitely have their hands full. Camden's at home taking on
White House Heritage.
Thank you, because I was about to say East Nashville, who they beat last week. Well-coached team who runs the wing T, which is what Camden's coaches know best, so that could be a good thing for them. The other game in 4A, Hardin County going to Memphis as well to play Memphis East. There's a lot of people around here in this region that think that Hardin County's got a definite shot at winning this game because Memphis East necessarily hadn't had to run the gamut that Hardin County's had to run to get to this point. So Hardin County's well tested, coming in with 1 loss. Memphis East is coming in with 1 loss too, so should be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, think how close Hardin County is to being undefeated right now. I mean, they would
A 2-point conversion in overtime.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, when you look at run the gamut, they've definitely done that.
Yeah.
All right, well, everybody, hope you've enjoyed the coverage at this point in the season. Obviously, just ramping things up each week progressively as we get closer to the Blue Cross Bowl in Cookeville. Until that point, though, as far as this week goes, definitely some good coverage planned for the rest of the week. So check every day, JacksonSun.com and in your Jackson Sun. Whether you get that delivered to your door or want to pick it up off the rack, a lot of good stuff there every day, stories, photos, and that sort of stuff. Get some good analysis from the coaches and that sort of thing. A lot of interesting material. Friday morning, the Blitz and Stats, as we've been doing all season long. We'll continue with that. And that Blitz really gets interesting as you start to get closer in. You start to see.
I have to write more about each game now. We're down to 11 games.
Yeah, but it means more, so that's that's important. You want to do that.
That wears me out.
More work for Brandon, but that's for you, obviously. So definitely check that out. And then Friday night we'll have lots of reporters and photographers at these games. Be putting stuff up on JacksonSun.com throughout the late night, and then Saturday morning there on the website and in Jackson Sun as well. So we thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great week.
See ya.